Chosen one, pause for a moment and listen. This is not a coincidence or curiosity. It is a divine summons. Heaven has written this very instant into your story, long before you took your first breath. You were not led here by chance, but by design. God says, your soulmate asked heaven to deliver this great news. Don't ignore it. Somewhere, beyond your sight, a soul connected to your destiny spoke your name before God and pleaded for your safety, your strength, and the readiness of your heart. That prayer rose like incense, and heaven responded by guiding you here at the exact moment when your spirit was ready to receive. In the invisible realm, a quiet movement has already begun. Angels have gone forth carrying a message sealed in light, one that your spirit will recognize the moment you hear it. You who have endured the long nights of silence, who have carried faith when nothing made sense, are not forgotten. Every tear, every whispered hope, every unanswered prayer has been gathered into the hands of God. They were never wasted. They were woven into preparation. Heaven has waited patiently for your heart to become still enough to hear what it has long been trying to say. What you sense now is not confusion, but awakening. The breath of the Spirit is stirring what has slept inside you for too long. You are being called out of hesitation and into divine alignment, out of delay and into the timing that only heaven could arrange. This message does not come to soothe the emotion, but to awaken purpose. There are rare moments when heaven and earth touch, when time itself bends, so that destiny can be fulfilled, and this is one of those moments. So take a breath and let peace settle upon your heart. The whisper you hear is not imagination, it is recognition. When the world grows silent, God begins to speak. When doors close, it means heaven is building another way. This is your appointed hour, the sacred intersection where faith begins to transform into fulfillment. Now, as you step forward into this divine truth, if this resonates with your spirit, you can write 777 as an act of agreement in faith, or simply stay and receive, and as you do, declare within yourself, I am ready to hear what heaven is saying. I am open to the message prepared for me. I am aligned with divine timing, and I will not miss what belongs to me. Don't rush away. Stay until the end, because we will close this message with a prayer that carries power, one that will speak directly into your spirit and mark the beginning of a holy shift within your life today. Before you ever knew their name, before your paths crossed or your hearts recognized each other, your soulmate had already spoken your name in the presence of God. It was not a prayer of desperation or longing, but one born out of reverence and surrender. They didn't ask heaven to bring them someone perfect. They asked to be made ready for the one chosen for them. They didn't pray for a romance. They prayed for purpose. And in that prayer, your name was written in light. Heaven listened. Every word that left their lips was recorded, not as a mere request, but as a covenant sealed in faith. When they asked for you, they were not asking for comfort. They were asking for alignment. They said, Lord, teach me how to love in truth. Prepare me to meet what you have written. Shape me to recognize them not by appearance but by spirit. That prayer was not lost in the noise of the world. It reached the throne of grace, and the answer began to move in motion the moment it was spoken. C. S. Lewis, in Letters to Malcolm, chiefly on prayer, wrote, Some people feel guilty about their anxieties and regard them as a defect of faith. I don't agree at all. They are afflictions, not sins. Like all afflictions they are, if we can so take them, our share in the passion of Christ. This insight reveals that the soulmate's prayer, born from faith amidst uncertainty, was a sacred affliction, aligning both your hearts with God's eternal purpose. Even when they felt far from hope, even when they questioned if heaven still remembered, their faith became the bridge that connected your journey to theirs. God was not silent, he was working. While they were learning to trust, you were being refined. While they were being molded, your spirit was being strengthened. Heaven was orchestrating a rhythm only the faithful could hear, a timing only divine patience could keep. Remember this: nothing in the kingdom is ever delayed without purpose. What seems like waiting is often the sacred preparation for meeting. The same God who heard their cry is the one who has carried you to this moment. You are both part of a design greater than desire, a story written not in emotion, but in eternal intention. So when your heart begins to stir, know this: the prayer that once rose for you is still echoing through heaven. Its fragrance has not faded, its words have not expired. God is still unfolding it, line by line, heartbeat by heartbeat, until the day that prayer and promise meet face to face. Chosen one, something in the atmosphere around you is shifting. You can't explain it, but your spirit feels the movement before your mind can name it. The restlessness, the dreams that feel more vivid, the strange calm in moments that used to bring fear, these are not coincidences, they are signals. Heaven is realigning you, adjusting the rhythm of your heart to match the timing of divine purpose. What once felt heavy is beginning to lift. What once seemed silent is starting to hum with unseen activity. Silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. Every pause ordained by heaven carries the weight of divine intention. God has not forgotten you. He has been synchronizing two journeys that must arrive at the same gate at the same hour. You were not waiting in vain. You were being aligned. You see, when God writes a story involving two souls, He writes it with symmetry, every trial mirrored, every prayer echoed, every moment of surrender tied together like threads on the same loom of grace. Ecclesiastes 3:11 declares, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." That verse is not poetic decoration, it is divine law. God's timing is not measured by human calendars, but by the readiness of hearts. There are moments when your growth determines heaven's green light. When you matured in faith, heaven moved. The Lord delayed not because you were forgotten, but because He loves you too much to send a promise before you could sustain it. Look closer, and you will see the signs. Peace where there once was confusion. Clarity in the place of chaos. The same dreams resurfacing, now sharper, steadier, wrapped in understanding. Angels are aligning people, places, and opportunities like stars before dawn. Every divine connection has a season, and yours is unfolding. So don't grieve what is fading. The silence that once felt endless was only the pause before a song begins again. The doors that closed were heaven's way of redirecting you to the ones that lead to destiny. What is leaving was never meant to stay. What is coming carries your name written by God's own hand. You are standing on holy ground at the threshold of fulfillment. And now the shift has begun, not a storm, but a sunrise. The Spirit of the Lord whispers to your soul, "It is time." Chosen one, listen not with your ears but with your spirit, for heaven rarely speaks in noise. It whispers through symbols, moments, and patterns, small details that seem ordinary until your soul begins to recognize their rhythm. From the dream that refuses to fade to the song that plays at the exact moment you needed peace. From the numbers that repeat when you pray to the wave of calm that suddenly washes over you in the middle of chaos. These are not random, they are signals of divine alignment. Each one carries a fragment of heaven's confirmation that what was promised is in motion. You have been sensing these echoes for a while now, haven't you? A familiar feeling in your heart when a certain name is mentioned, a sudden peace when you almost gave up, a message or scripture that appears twice in one day as if the universe is trying to underline the same sentence. That is heaven's handwriting, tracing meaning through the pages of your everyday life. What feels like a coincidence is often coordination. The prayers you and your soulmate released have intertwined, and the vibration of those petitions now ripples through time, creating synchronicities only heaven could arrange. Yet remember this truth: the signs are not meant to be worshipped, they are meant to point you back to the sender. James 1:17 reminds us, "Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights." The signs are gifts, gentle reminders that God is closer than you think. They are confirmations, not destinations. When you fix your gaze on the signs, you risk missing the one who sent them. When you thank God for the symbol, but not the source, the message loses its power. So observe them with reverence, not obsession. Let each confirmation draw you deeper into trust, not into calculation. The repeating numbers, the dreams, the moments of stillness, they are heaven's language of timing, not your map for control. The divine does not need your decoding, it needs your discernment. Don't get lost in the signs. Rise into the awareness they were meant to awaken. Heaven does not send symbols to entertain curiosity, but to awaken recognition. You are not chasing proof, you are learning presence. The signs are not a puzzle, they are a love letter. And every line written across your days carries one simple message from above. You are on the right path. Keep walking. C.S. Lewis, in the Screwtape Letters, wrote, "The safest road to hell is the gradual one, the gentle slope, soft underfoot, without sudden turnings, without milestones, without signposts." This warning underscores that ignoring heaven's subtle signs can lead to spiritual drift, but your attentiveness to these divine signals keeps you aligned with God's purpose and timing. Chosen one, the hour of reunion is drawing near. You may not see it with your eyes yet, but your spirit already knows. The air feels different, lighter somehow, as if creation itself is holding its breath. There is a holy urgency in this silence, not panic, but preparation. Heaven is setting the stage for two journeys that have traveled through valleys and storms to finally meet at a divinely appointed intersection. You have felt the pull, haven't you? That quiet sense that something is approaching, something sacred, something long-awaited yet strangely familiar. It is not imagination. It is fulfillment beginning to unfold. This meeting will not be marked by fireworks or trembling hearts, but by peace, a deep, steady peace that silences fear and confirms what faith has known all along. It will not rush you, it will rest you. There will be no confusion, no striving to prove or perform. The presence of God will surround you both, and the atmosphere will testify before a single word is spoken. This is divine. When heaven authors a connection, it carries the weight of recognition, not the pressure of persuasion. Remember this truth: there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. 1 John 4:18. The love God ordains does not provoke anxiety, it brings rest. You will not have to chase it or question its reality, because it will speak peace to every part of your being. It will not compete with your calling, it will complement it. It will not distract you from God, it will draw you closer to Him. Do not worry about the timing, for divine timing is never late and never early. It arrives in exact rhythm with your readiness. Every obstacle that once kept you apart has served its purpose. Every delay was heaven's protection in disguise. The distance was not punishment, but refinement, shaping two hearts to fit a single purpose. What was meant to harm you was used to prepare you. And when that moment comes, you will know not by sight, not by logic, but by the quiet certainty that fills your soul. You will recognize them the way dawn recognizes the sun, not by introduction, but by instinct. Your spirit will remember what your mind forgot. The peace you feel will be your confirmation, the presence of God your witness. It will not be a coincidence, but divine orchestration. Not mere emotion, but revelation. Not a chapter beginning from nowhere, but a promise finally fulfilled. You will know not through your eyes, but through your soul, that what God joins together, no distance, no time, and no power can divide. Every delay is a classroom of faith. The silence you once resented was not absence, it was instruction. Heaven was not ignoring you, it was training you to listen. When prayers seemed unanswered, they were not being dismissed, they were being developed. There are lessons that cannot be learned through abundance, only through waiting. And those who learn to wait in faith become the ones trusted with fulfillment. From silence, you learned how to hear. From waiting, you learned how to trust. From tears, you learned how to pray. Each pause carried divine purpose, though it felt like pain. God does not waste a single season. He does not delay to punish. He delays to prepare. If he gave you the promise before your character was strong enough to hold it, the blessing would have become a burden. If he answered too soon, you might have worshipped the gift instead of the giver. Heaven's timing is not meant to frustrate you. It is meant to form you. So, when you cried, "Lord, why not yet?" he was responding, "Because I love you too much to give you less than what is best." Waiting is not a punishment, it is protection. It separates the counterfeit from the authentic, the fleeting emotion from the eternal covenant. God uses delay as fire uses gold to refine, not destroy. He allows the promise to linger so that when it comes, you know it was never by luck but by divine orchestration. Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God." All things, not just the answered prayers, but the seasons of silence, the disappointments, and the days that felt endless. God folds every moment, even the painful ones, into a pattern that leads to purpose. Every detour was a direction. Every closed door was a redirection. Delay is not denial, it is divine design. Every time you felt forgotten, heaven was building a foundation. Every time you thought you lost time, God was redeeming it. Every time you thought you stood still, he was moving things in the unseen. The waiting has not been wasted, it has been working. For when you step into what God has prepared, you will realize why it took so long, because eternity was being fitted into the shape of your story. So do not despise the waiting. It is holy ground. The delay is not proof that heaven is silent, but that heaven is serious about what belongs to you. Stay steadfast, stay faithful, and remember, the longer the delay, the greater the destiny it is protecting. Chosen one, this love was never meant to exist merely between two hearts. It was designed as a tool of heaven. What is about to unfold in your life is not just a relationship, it is a revelation. God is using this union as a living testimony that love, when purified by his hand, can become a vessel of healing, restoration, and representation of his glory on earth. Healing. The love heaven ordains first heals before it fulfills. It will touch the scars both of you tried to hide, not to reopen wounds, but to release what still binds. This connection will not demand perfection, it will invite transparency. Where pain once separated you, grace will build bridges. The one meant for you will not fear your past, they will help you redeem it. God uses love as medicine for the soul, to close the wounds inflicted by rejection, betrayal, and loss. The love you are about to encounter is not here to entertain your emotions, it is here to restore your wholeness. Restoration. This union will also restore what life and disappointment have stolen: your faith in divine timing, your belief in goodness, your hope that true love can still mirror heaven. It will remind you that not every departure was an ending. Some were preparations for return. The way this connection will unfold will prove that God's delays are never denials. He was not withholding love from you, he was perfecting it within you. Representation. Finally, this union is meant to display what heaven's love looks like on earth. When two souls both surrendered to Christ meet, their relationship becomes language, a silent sermon preaching that God is faithful. Ephesians 2:10 declares, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand." This love is one of those works, set apart to reflect his nature. The world has seen too many versions of love rooted in fear and possession. Now it will witness love rooted in faith and purpose. This is not an attraction, it's an assignment. God is joining two lives, not to complete each other, but to complete a mission. Together, you will carry light into dark spaces. Together, you will remind others that holy love still exists, that heaven still writes stories worth believing in. The world will see peace where others expected chaos, strength where others saw weakness, and joy where there once was pain. That is how divine love works. It doesn't just connect people, it changes generations. So receive this truth humbly. This love is sacred work. It is not about who looks at you, but about who prays with you, not about emotion, but about elevation. When God joins what He Himself authored, it becomes more than a union, it becomes a ministry of light. Heaven has now begun to seal what it started. The movements you once felt in the spirit, the whispers, the signs, the waiting, were all the prelude. But now the Father Himself is placing His seal upon this promise. What God has ordained cannot be revoked. What heaven has opened, no man can shut. Revelation 3-7 declares, "What He opens, no one can close, and what He closes, no one can open." That verse is not just scripture, it is the signature of your story. When God seals something, He secures it under His authority. It becomes untouchable, not because of your strength, but because of His sovereignty. This love, this alignment, this season, He is marking it as holy. You may not see the seal with your eyes, but your spirit will feel it as peace that surpasses understanding. The warfare that once surrounded you will begin to quiet, because heaven does not need to defend what it has already declared finished. You might have noticed that certain doors are closing permanently, relationships fading, distractions dissolving, opportunities you once begged for now feeling foreign. Do not panic. Those closures are not rejection, they are divine protection. God is sealing off every path that could sabotage your purpose. When the seal of heaven is set, the counterfeit cannot enter. The noise of confusion must bow to divine order. What remains will be pure, precise, and promised. Chosen one, the seal is also an awakening. Heaven announces that the hidden season is over. The time of waiting is giving way to manifestation. The same God who watched you sow in tears will now let you reap in joy. The peace that's coming will not make sense, but it will feel like home. You will wake up one morning and realize that the heaviness is gone, the fear has lifted, and your heart feels lighter. That is the evidence of sealing, the invisible confirmation that the fight is over. Yet remember this, the seal is not the ending. It is the beginning of a new stewardship. What heaven seals, it expects you to guard. Do not treat holy things casually. Protect the peace you prayed for. Honor the love heaven entrusted to you. Keep your heart humble, your hands open, and your focus upward. The divine seal is heaven's way of saying, "It is done." The process was long, but the foundation is sure. You are standing under divine certification. No weapon formed against this covenant will prosper, for the signature of God Himself rests upon it. The storm has ended. The refining has served its purpose, and now the Father whispers into your spirit, "What I have sealed, no one can break. Walk forward in peace." Chosen one, before every promise is revealed, there is always a final test, not to destroy you, but to determine whether your faith can carry the weight of fulfillment. Every soul that has ever walked in divine destiny has faced this same sacred threshold, the narrow gate between prophecy and manifestation. It feels like a contradiction. It feels like everything is still, silent, almost too quiet to be holy. Yet that stillness is the very evidence that heaven is working. The final test often comes disguised as doubt. You will begin to question everything you once knew. Did I really hear from God? Was that sign truly for me? Did I wait for nothing? The enemy's last weapon is not chaos, it is confusion. When the battle is nearly won, he no longer needs to fight you physically. He simply tries to whisper unbelief into your mind. But remember, the silence before revelation is not abandonment, it is completion. When God finishes building something in the unseen, he wraps it in stillness before unveiling it in glory. Do not mistake the quiet for distance. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is his classroom. Patience is his test. When heaven delays response, it's not because it changed its mind, it's because it's preparing your miracle to arrive in its full form, not halfway born. The final test is designed to strip away dependence on signs and leave only trust. If you can still worship when you cannot see, you have already passed. In this final stretch, temptations may rise. You might feel drawn to settle for the familiar, to go back to what is comfortable rather than waiting for what is consecrated. The counterfeit will appear right before the authentic does. The enemy knows your heart is open, so he will try to distract you with imitations of what God promised. Stay discerning. What comes from God will bring peace, not confusion, order, not pressure, alignment, not anxiety. You are closer than you think. The intensity you feel is not the end, it is a transition. Just as labor pains grow strongest right before birth, spiritual pressure always peaks before manifestation. You are not being punished, you are being pushed into promise. The heaviness you sense is not meant to break you but to birth you. Heaven is finishing what it started, and that often requires you to stand firm while everything around you seems uncertain. Remember Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. This verse is the heartbeat of your moment. You have come too far to retreat, prayed too long to surrender, and endured too much to question now. The test is not to make you doubt God, it is to reveal that doubt no longer owns you. So lift your head, even in silence. Stand firm when it feels like the heavens are still. The lack of sound does not mean a lack of movement. God often finishes his greatest works in the quiet. The promise has not changed. The timeline has not been cancelled. What he spoke, he will fulfill. Stay grounded in faith. The test will end, the clouds will part, and you will see what your patience built, a promise fully matured by the fire of endurance and the breath of God himself. And when that moment arrives, you will understand why the silence lasted so long, because heaven was sealing every detail so perfectly that not even the smallest piece could fall apart. The test was never about proving your worth to God. It was about proving God's worth in you. You are standing at the threshold, and the next sound you hear may very well be the sound of your answered prayer. Chosen one, the hour has come when prophecy turns to reality, when what you carried in faith becomes something you can finally touch. The silence has broken. The long night has given way to dawn. Heaven's orchestration, every delay, every detour, every moment that made no sense has now aligned perfectly into one breathtaking reveal, the promise fulfilled. You will not need to chase it, nor question it. It will find you, clothed in peace, wrapped in divine timing, bearing the unmistakable fragrance of God's fingerprints. This fulfillment will not arrive with noise or spectacle, but with stillness, the kind that humbles you to tears. It will not need to announce itself, because your spirit will already know, this is what I prayed for, this is what I waited for, this is what heaven promised me. The world might call it a coincidence, but you will know it was consecration. For what you are about to witness is not luck, it is lineage, the continuation of God's faithfulness through your life. The reunion heaven prepared will carry peace, not pressure. Love will not feel like pursuit, it will feel like a presence. There will be no striving, no anxiety, no confusion, only the quiet, knowing that what stands before you is holy ground. You will see the reflection of your prayers in their eyes. You will sense that every moment of silence, every lonely night, every not yet was worth it. because it led here to this sacred alignment. And yet, the beauty of fulfillment is not in the arrival, but in the recognition of the one who delivered it. 1 Thessalonians 5:24 declares, "The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it." That verse now lives in your story. The same God who began this work in secret is the one bringing it into the light. You will realize that every closed door was redirection, every unanswered prayer was protection, and every season of waiting was building the capacity to receive what would have crushed you before. Chosen one, this is the hour where faith becomes sight. You are not merely stepping into answered prayer, you are stepping into a covenant moment. When God fulfills a promise, it does not end a story, it begins a testimony. This is the moment when heaven invites you to speak of what he has done. The very pain that once silenced you will become the platform for your praise. The same tears that fell in hidden places will now testify publicly of his goodness. You will not need to explain. The peace around you will speak louder than your words. People will look at you and see evidence that God keeps his promises. Your life will preach without a microphone. The fragrance of grace will linger wherever you go, not because of what you've achieved, but because of what you've endured and who carried you through it. The fulfillment is here, but it carries responsibility. To remain humble, to honor the giver more than the gift, and to protect what heaven has entrusted to you. For this love, this promise, this season, it all belongs to him. Heavenly Father, we come before you in reverence and awe, recognizing that everything that has been spoken, everything that has unfolded, has been by your divine hand. You are the author of beginnings, the keeper of time, and the finisher of every promise. You saw this moment long before we could imagine it, and you have guided every step with purpose. Today we stand not in striving, but in surrender, not in fear, but in faith, declaring that what you have joined, no power can divide. Lord, I lift before you the one reading these words, your chosen one. You have seen their tears, their silence, their waiting. You have watched them remain faithful when everything seemed still. I ask that you now clothe them with peace so deep that no circumstance can shake it. Let the weight of anxiety fall away, replaced by the certainty that you are still the God who finishes what he begins. Let their heart find rest in knowing that your timing was not delayed, but divine design. Father, I also pray for the one who prayed for them, their soulmate, their divine companion. Wherever they are, may your spirit be upon them. Refine their heart, renew their faith, and prepare them for this sacred union you have ordained. Let their steps be ordered, their motives pure, and their love anchored in you. Bring both hearts under one rhythm of grace, so that when they meet, it will not be by impulse, but by intention. Your intention. Lord, seal this covenant under the authority of heaven. Let this love serve as a ministry, a reflection of your mercy, a testimony of your timing, and a mirror of your faithfulness. Teach them to guard what is holy, to nurture what is divine, and to honor you through every breath of this connection. May their love heal what has been broken, restore what was lost, and demonstrate to the world that you still write stories of redemption. We thank you for the delay that built endurance, for the silence that taught discernment, and for the tears that watered the promise. We praise you that what once felt like an ending has become the threshold of fulfillment. And now, Lord, as this message closes, may your spirit remain open within their hearts. Let them walk from this moment with renewed faith, deeper humility, and unshakable peace. From fear to faith, from waiting to awakening, from promise to possession, may everything in their life align with your eternal purpose. And when the world asks how they endured, may their answer be simple yet powerful. Because God promised, and he kept his word. In the name above every name, Jesus Christ, the beginning and the end, the faithful and true, we seal this covenant. Amen.